Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear children, I hope you and your family will be alright. Today I am going to read chapter 1 for better pronunciation of difficult words of your book The Secret Garden, Class 5, APS&C GIlgit. It's a model reading. So open your page 4 and 5 and follow me. This is your book, The Secret Garden. Now, Chapter 1. 9-year-old Mary Lennox lived with her mother and father in a huge house in India. She was not very pretty and had yellow hair and a pale face because she was often ill. She was an only child, but her parents didn't have a lot of time for her. The Indian servants looked after her and did everything for her. Mary became a very bossy little girl with no friends. Then one day a terrible disease killed Mary's parents and most of the servants in the house. The rest of the servants ran away at night. Everybody forgot about little Miss Mary and she stayed in the empty house alone. 2 army officers went into the house to investigate. "There is a child here. She is all alone. Who is she?" An army officer cried out when he saw the girl. "My name is Mary Lennox," answered the girl angrily. "Where is everybody? Why are my servants not here?" "Poor little kid. Everybody has left," said the officer. "What are we going to do about her?" asked one of the men. "She hasn't got anyone here in India," said the officer. "But I have heard of an uncle in Yorkshire. Maybe she can go there." It was a long journey to England. When the ship arrived, Mary's uncle wasn't there to meet her. Mrs. Medlock, his housekeeper, was waiting for her. Mrs. Medlock was a strong woman with red cheeks. She was a good servant, but she didn't know anything about children. They travelled by train, and on the way to Yorkshire, Mrs. Medlock turned and looked at the girl. "Do you know anything about your uncle?" she asked. "No," said Mary. She tried to look like she didn't care. "Mr. Archibald Craven lives in Misselthwaite Manor," said the woman. "It's 600 years old and it has over 100 rooms and lots of gardens. Your uncle has got a bad back and he is a difficult man. You see, his wife died a few years ago and—" "Oh, she died?" Mary jumped in. "Yes, she died," answered Mrs. Medlock. "He misses her very much. Now he doesn't care about anybody. He isn't going to spend time with you. In fact, he often goes away. There is nobody to play with you at Misselthwaite. You can play outside, but you can't explore inside the house. There are rules. You mustn't open locked doors or play in the corridors. Mr. Craven won't like it." Mary said nothing, but she wasn't happy. She didn't like rules and she didn't like getting orders from a servant. Okay, children, now you can underline difficult words and find their meanings from dictionary. Make a booklet of it. Okay, if you are given to summarize the chapter, it means that your summary should be short and to the point. Don't add unnecessary information. It should be clear and in simple present tense. Try to summarize it in your own words. For example, Chapter 1 tells us about Mary Lennox lives in India with her parents, but they have no time for her. Servants look after her. She is a bad-tempered and spoiled girl. Then there is a tragedy as cholera kills her parents and everyone in her house. Some soldiers find her all alone and send her to Yorkshire to live with her uncle, Mr. Archibald Craven, at Misselthwaite Manor. It is a huge place with 100 rooms and lots of gardens. Mary arrives in England, but her uncle isn't there to meet her. Mrs. Medlock, his housekeeper, waits for her. She tells her about her uncle and Misselthwaite Manor and the death of her uncle's wife. Mrs. Medlock also tells about the rules, but she doesn't like rules from a servant to follow. Okay. Can you tell the characters appear in this chapter? For example, number 1 character is Mary Lennox. And what about others? Think about them. My next question is, what is the theme of chapter 1? Think about it and discuss it with your parents. Okay, now there are end of chapter exercises given on page 42 and 43. You have to complete them. There is another question, and that is you have to write the main events of chapter 1. For example, number 1 event is a terrible disease killed Mary's parents and most of the servants in the house. And what are the other? So think about them. I hope you will get benefit of it. Please inform me about your opinion. Okay, take care and Allah Hafiz.